खुदा में रज़वी हो.
Allah Almighty, by His divine grace and by His mercy, has given mankind the ability and the capability to recognize those in whose hearts He has instilled His special grace and mercy. Mankind here does not refer to all of mankind, but it refers to the believers. And amongst those, it is not everybody can make this recognition. Whom Allah gives this tawfiq. The great scholars have said that Almighty Allah has hidden three things in three things. I've told you this before. Almighty Allah has hidden three things in three things. He has hidden His obedience, His mercy in His obedience. He has hidden His rahmah, His mercy in His obedience. In other words, you do not know which act of obedience will cause the mercy of Allah to descend abundantly upon you. You may think, I need to give 1 million rand in charity before Allah's mercy descends upon me. All you may need to do is help an old person cross the street. Allah's mercy will descend upon you. You don't know in which Allah has hidden that special mercy for you. Allah's mercy is always there, but there is that special mercy of Allah. So He says, the pious servants of Allah say that Allah has hidden three things in three things. He has hidden His mercy in His obedience. He has concealed His wrath in His disobedience. He has hidden His ghazab in His disobedience. You may think that I need to kill 1,000 people before Allah's azab befalls me. You may only need to say one oof to your mother, and the azab of Allah will fall upon you. These things sound like minor things when you say that somebody backtalked their parents, or somebody spoke aloud to their mother. It may seem like something. Awliya Allah have freed slaves because on certain days their voice was a bit loud in responding to their mother. Not out of disrespect, that they were distant away, so they called out loudly. So Allah has hidden, He's concealed His rahmah and His ita'at, in His obedience. He has concealed His wrath, His ghadab in His disobedience. And He has concealed the awliya Allah amongst the people. And He has concealed the awliya Allah amongst the people. He has hidden them amongst the people. That to you a person looks like he has tattered and torn clothes. Nobody cares about him. But it has come in the hadith sharif that these are those servants of Allah, that when they raise their hand in the court of Allah, then what they say is not rejected. Okay? So Allah has put the pious servants in this dunya so that they may serve as powerful pillars for this dunya. They are powers of stability, they are pillars of stability, they are pillars of acceptance of dua. The abdals that are in Syria, it has been mentioned that through them Almighty Allah causes the rain to descend, through their duas. Through them Allah alleviates us from difficulties. They are always 40 present there, but they are hidden from our visible sights. So the awliya Allah have always been placed and have always been amongst us. It is our weakness that we cannot see them or we cannot recognize them. But it is sad that when Allah gives you the signs of recognition, and their recognition becomes and their identity becomes very clear, still there are people that are unable to recognize. And even if they do, the ego holds them back from taking the blessings. You must remember that these awliya Allah, these pious servants of Allah, they are oceans. They are oceans of piety, they are oceans of wisdom, they are oceans of knowledge. The awliya are those who don't always speak in simple, direct terms. Sometimes you listen to a pious servant of Allah saying something, you cannot understand for that moment why they speak in spiritual riddles sometimes. And the reason I've started discussing today from this angle is because Hafiz Sharif read one kalam. That kalam was written by Huzur Sayyidi wa Sanadi Sarkare Taju Sharia radiallahu anhu. And he wrote it almost a year before he left this dunya. Just before he left this world. And that kalam that Huzur Sayyidi Taju Sharia wrote, every couplet is a spiritual riddle. Every couplet in that kalam is a spiritual riddle if you understand it. I'm going to read a few of the shares and I'm going to tell you something about it today very quickly, since he has read that kalam to you. Firstly, to understand who is Sadr Sharia. Who is Huzur Sadr Sharia radiallahu anhu. Huzur Sadr Sharia Badru Tariqa radiallahu anhu. Look, amongst the khulafa of Ala Hazrat, we're talking about Ala Hazrat Azim al-Barakat. We are talking about the Imam of the Ahl Sunnah. We are talking about that personality who disproved scientists like Albert Porter. We are talking about that personality who in a month by hearted the entire Quran, 15 to 20 minutes every day. It used to be recited to him and he used to listen and then stand on the musalla and perform it in Salah. We are talking about that personality that wrote more than 1,000 books and treatises on more than 54 sciences. If you open Fatawa Razviya, you will find mathematics, trigonometry, astronomy, everything present. His knowledge was that. We are talking about that personality who saved the iman of the Muslims until Qayamat. That Ala Hazrat Azim al-Barakat, that when Professor Ziauddin, Dr. Ziauddin, the Dean of the Faculty of Maths of Aligarh University in those days, when he had a problem that he needed to solve a mathematical problem, he needed to go all the way to Germany in those days by ship. Lengthy journey. He needed to go there so that he can sit with those in that level of understanding and they could find solutions to his mathematical conundrum that he had. They needed to solve that problem. They could not solve it. Great mathematician like Professor Dr. Ziauddin. There, the murid of Ala Hazrat Azim al-Barakat was teaching us at that time in the faculty of Diniyat. And he said, and I'm being brief because time is not permitting. He said, go to Bareilly. Why don't you go to Bareilly and meet Imam Ahmad Rida? Or meet Ala Hazrat? He said, what am I going to go and get from a man who has not come out the four walls of his house? Except for Haramain Tayyibain, he has not gone anywhere else. He's sitting on a mat in his house. What is he going to tell me about this? He said, the best are not able to resolve this. I need to go all the way to Germany and we need to have discussions and lengthy conferences on this issue and then we can find some solution to my problem. And his discussion was on reflections. Let's go and get this sorted out. He said, look, you're going to travel so far. Instead of going so far, why don't you just go to Bareilly? It's a few hours. If you don't get anything there, then go to Germany. He went on behind him. Hazrat Sulaiman Ashraf, he went on behind him. Finally, Professor Ziauddin said, let me just go. When he got there to Bareilly Sharif at that time, it was the time of Salah. Time of Salah was commencing. Ala Hazrat radiallahu anhu had left his house to walk to the masjid. From his house to the masjid. The house of Ala Hazrat radiallahu anhu is where Huzur Taj Sharia lives. Huzur Taj Sharia's house. From there, Hafiz Sharif, how far to the masjid? 20 steps? 30 steps? Till the wuzu, maybe even before that. Okay? From the masjid to the house. He had a few questions, 3 questions I think if I remember right. They started walking from there. He went, he undressed, introduced himself and everything. He said, why have you come? He said, I've come to solve these problems. Some mathematical problems that I need resolved and this and that. He said, okay. By the time they reached the door of the masjid, 2 of his 3 questions were solved. By the time they reached the door of the masjid, 2 of the 3 questions were solved. He asked the third, and Ala Hazrat was entering his foot into the masjid. He said, we are now entering the house of Allah. No dunyawi talk over here. Now, no worldly talk inside here. Should learn a lesson. When you're inside the masjid, what you're supposed to be doing? Mathematical question, a question. He said that got nothing to do with deen. When we come out afterwards, then I will explain that to you. After Salah, when they went out, then Allah Hazrat solved that problem. Dr. Ziauddin, when he wrote about this, he said, on that day I recognized and realized there was something known as ilm ladunni. There was something known as inspired knowledge, that which a man does not have to study, Allah inspires it upon his heart. This is Ala Hazrat Adimul Barkat radiyallahu anhu. Now I told you that so you understand that Ala Hazrat's Khalifas, do you know who? Ala Hazrat's Khalifas, who? Many. But amongst them, Qutb Madina Shaykh Ziauddin Madani radiallahu anhu. These are giants. Qutb Madina Shaykh Ziauddin Madani radiallahu anhu, the roving ambassador of Islam, Hazrat Allama Maulana Abdul Alim Siddiqui Mirti radiallahu anhu. Malikul Ulama Allama Zafaruddin Bihari radiallahu ta'ala anhu. Sadrul Afadil Allama Naimuddin Muradabadi radiallahu ta'ala anhu. And numerous other, I'm just naming a few for you. In this huge assembly of Khulafa, Huzur Ala Hazrat Adimul Barkat radiallahu anhu said that amongst everybody that are present in my court, if there is somebody that has the in-depth expert knowledge of Islamic jurisprudence, it is Maulana Amjadi. It is Sadru Sharia radiallahu ta'ala. That is why he is amongst the Ajillah Khulafa of Ala Hazrat. He is known as the most exalted Khalifa of Ala Hazrat Adimul Barkat radiallahu anhu. He is the personality who wrote the world-renowned Bahari Shariat. He wrote the Bahari Shariat, and when he wrote Bahari Shariat, Huzur Muhaddis Kabir says that Sadru Sharia kept the name of Bahari Shariat, the name of the book was Alim Banane Wali Kitab. That was the name of the book. The name of the book was the book that makes you a scholar, if you studied under scholar. It was called Alim Banane Wali Kitab. So Huzur Sayyidi Muhaddis Kabir says, this was the name of Bahari Sharia. This was its name before. No, not Bahari Sharia. When that book was presented to Ala Hazrat, Huzur Muhaddis Kabir says, Sarkar Mufti Azam personally told me this. Mufti Azam personally told me this, that he was present when Bahari Shariat was, when this book was presented, Alim Banane Wali Kitab, when it was presented to Ala Hazrat, Ala Hazrat went through the first volume and he said that this book is Bahari Shariat. So the name Bahari Shariat is kept by Ala Hazrat Adimul Barkat. So now you know about the author of Bahari Shariat, Sadru Shariat. He was that personality that when he passed away from this dunya, it was immense rain on that day. Very heavy rain. So much so that the qabr split. One portion of the qabr split. But the fragrance that came out of his qabr was so amazing that it spread for miles away for 3 days. Even the Bad Mazhab, one Wahhabi Maulvi, stood far in one of his gardens in the orchards, and he stood and he said, let me see what the people are talking about. Took a deep breath and he said, oh, Maulana Amjad Ali, after leaving the world, is still showing his karamat. In other words, the Bad Mazhab even said, still showing means he knew even before he used to show karamat. Okay? So this is Sadru Sharia. I'm being only brief. Okay, Bahari Shariat is massive, voluminous. 17 to 18, gone to 20 volumes now. It's the encyclopedia of Islamic law. Alhamdulillah, the first 5 volumes are translated in English by this humble servant. It's online on our website. You can download and read it for free. More to come, inshallah, when the time permits. The 16th volume is also there. The basic understanding is this is the personality. Now, Huzur Sayyidi Taj Sharia, before he left this world, he wrote a kalam and he could not attend because of his health. So he gave that kalam to Mufti Shahid Raza, the son-in-law of Huzur Sayyidi Muhaddis Kabir, and I was present when it was given. And he said that read this in the Urs of Sadr Sharia when you know. But every couplet has a secret in it. And I'm going to be very brief. He said, Urs Amjad Ali mein chale aiye, Majd Amjad ki sawghat le jaiye. What does it mean? Urs Amjad Ali mein chale aiye, Majd Amjad ki sawghat le jaiye. To the Urs of Hazrat Amjad Ali, let's go with devotion. I translated this, so I'm going to read it. To the Urs of Hazrat Amjad Ali, let's go with devotion. To attain the rare gifts of Amjad's greatness, let's go with devotion. Now, he had not been able to go there. He was unwell in the eyes of the world. He said, read this kalam there. Why did he say this then? He could have wrote this kalam any time in his life. Why did he read this kalam, write this kalam at that time and said, read this kalam there? Why did he say that? He said this because he was giving a sign. He said, Urs Amjad Ali mein chale aaye. Come to the Urs of Amjad Ali. Hazrat never openly said this before. He used to speak about Sadr Sharif, but he didn't say come there. After that, he made parda from the world. What was he saying? He was saying, go there, then come here, because Sadr Sharia seconds Iqada. Akhtar Raza, Taj Sharia, eve of the 7th, 6th, going towards the. In other words, first go there, then after that you will end up coming to my house. Huzur Taj Sharia was telling beforehand that he was going to follow thereafter. Very few people understood this. And the rare gift of Amjadi, what he is talking about? What rare gift are you going to find when you go to Ghosi? When you go to Sadr Sharia's court, yes, you're going to get the faizan, you're going to get the blessing. But what was this rare gift? He said, go to the Urs of Amjad Ali and attain the rare gift from his court. What is that rare gift? Ziaul Mustafa. The rare gift is Huzur Muhaddis Kabir. He was telling us to go there, take the blessings of Muhaddis Kabir and come initiate to my Urs and see how my mercy and my blessings fall upon you. See how my faizan falls upon you. That is why Huzur Taj Sharia radiallahu ta'ala an said, he said very clearly, he said in one of the couplets, what does he say? He said, Nazm meri waha gungunai gayi. What does he say? He says, there was recited my poetic compilation. Nazm meri waha gungunai gayi. There was recited my poetic compilation. May be hazir hu you, ghaibana sahi. I am present there even though you can't see me. I am present there even though you can't see me. In other words, not in the physical form for your eyes to see. I am present there, even though invisible, I am present at this occasion. What was he saying? He was saying to the people that I may leave the dunya, but if you want to take my blessings before you come here, go to Urs of Sadr Sharia. Go there and you will find my blessings. And there are many other ash'ar like this, that each one has a secret. But the point that I want to make is that the awliya Allah communicate like this. Awliya Allah communicate like this. They have a way of explaining things in riddles, but you have to not just look at what is on the surface. Try and go back, go a little bit inside. And people say today, and I'm going to end with this for today's Jummah. People say to this, and after the Urs of Sadr Sharia, Urs of Huzur Sayyidi Taj Sharia, our Shaykh and our Imam of the Zamana, Alhamdulillah, this year, every year we think that this year was a massive crowd in the Urs. Every year we say that. This year, a distance that takes us, a trip that takes us 15 minutes. 15 minutes to go from where we are to the area where to Jamiat Raza where the Urs takes place, took us 1 hour and 40 minutes. Because of the crowds were so much that the vehicles can't move on the road. There's no place for anything except people. How all these people came there? How all these people attracted to one personality? Huzur Muhaddis Kabir Qibla said it beautifully. He said, Taj Sharia's karamat. He said, this is the karamat of Huzur Taj Sharia. Let me tell you, Huzur Taj Sharia didn't take photos. He didn't do video. He didn't go on any channel. But throughout the world, Taj Sharia, Taj Sharia, Taj Sharia, Taj Sharia. Taj Sharia was not on any social media. Taj Sharia used to go to cities. Hazrat Maulana Abdul Hayy Nasim Al-Qaadiri, Allah increase his life. He's amongst our senior ulama. Allah unki umr mein barakat ata farmaye. Hazrat Maulana Abdul Hayy Nasim Al-Qaadiri said once, he said that once Huzur Taj Sharia in his young days, he came to Malegaon. That is the city of the place where Hazrat Maulana Abdul Hayy Nasim Al-Qaadiri Qibla lives. Used to live when he was in India. That's his homeland. He said that Huzur Taj Sharia came there once. No announcement. Nobody. He came suddenly by himself. He took his own taxi from wherever and he came. Didn't wait for anybody to pick him up. He came carrying a bag. He says there was no announcement, no huge posters, no nothing. But he said there was no place to put your foot in the city when Huzur Sayyidi Taj Sharia came. How? How did this happen? How is it that this pious personnel, today some people think that without this media and without this photo and video and all these things, kuch kaam hi nahi ho sakta. Utter nonsense. Utter nonsense. If you want to see reality, look at Huzur Taj Sharia. If you want to follow reality, follow Huzur Taj Sharia. Sharia. Huzur Taj Sharia, subhanallah, one place. And somebody says, but how do the other people come? You know, Huzur Mufti Azam Hind, Huzur Taj Sharia is the tajalli of Huzur Mufti Azam. Is the manifestation of Huzur Mufti Azam Hind. I said this in India this time when I was there, that Huzur Taj Sharia is the fatwa of Mufti Azam and he's the taqwa of Mufti Azam also. He is both. Huzur Sarkar Mufti Azam Hind radiallahu anh used to go to any city, no announcement, no nothing. The kuffar were getting parishan. The missionaries come, all the news, all the media, handful of people. Mufti Azam just puts his qadam, the railway station, there's no place to put your foot. How is it that this personality is? How they just come and suddenly there are people there. Why? Because you and I don't announce their arrival. That poster that we make is tabarruk for us. You and I don't announce their arrival. Their arrival is announced by the malaika. The arrival is announced by the malaika, because it is in the hadith that when Allah makes anybody his beloved, He says to the angels, "Oh my angels, I have made him my beloved, you too make him your beloved, and put into the hearts of the people, announce on the earth that all those who love me, love him, for he is my beloved." So their love flows throughout the dunya. This is how the awliya Allah. These are the dynamics. This is the domain of wilayat, which ordinary people fail to understand. So how khush nasib we are. Imagine those who saw Huzur Taji. Those of us who saw Hazrat came for our country. Those who are seeing Huzur Muhaddis Kabir. Those who are seeing the pious servants. How khush nasib you are, that you are seeing the pious servants of Allah. Do you know that when you see a pious servant of Allah, what we usually do nowadays when you go to one really real Hazrat? Sushah, what do people do? Hazrat this problem, Hazrat that problem, Hazrat this. First thing, go and tell them, make dua for salamati of our iman. Make dua for salamati of our children's iman. And as long as you are sitting in their presence, even if you are just looking at their face, in your heart make dua, Allah will accept your dua. So these pious servants of Allah have been put here so that they may serve as pillars of strength for the ummah. So that they may be a means for us to enter the court of the beloved Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, and thereby be presented in the court of Almighty Allah. Lengthy discussion, time does not permit, inshallah. In future we will discuss this. Just a reminder,